So in between the first video and this one, I designed and 3D printed a few parts. However, all the testing and just trying to get all the sizing right had me redo it so many times, as you can see here. Like, this is after finishing the prototype. This is about half of what I ended up with, and there are some failed prints on here that I don't know why they failed at all. And most of these aren't even done yet as well, so yeah, this is about maybe half of it. Maybe there's still quite a few more. And of course, I forgot to forget the part where I did the charging port. So I removed the charging port and then replaced it with a USB-C charger. But as you could see here, I wired some cables just like I did with the with a directional board, so that it could be easily moved around. And you will see the motherboard in the shell with a few 3D print parts that I'll go over a bit later. But right here, I'm just testing it, making sure it works. And so I'll just plug in the battery right here, locking in the battery shell that I made. And just to make sure that it works and it charges correctly. But as you see right here, as it plugs in, you can see the red light. Not that well, given how choppy the quality is, but you can still see it, so that means it's charging correctly. I kind of did mess up removing the charging port off of the motherboard, where I kind of messed up one of the traces, so that was a whole issue I had to go through. And now I'm just doing essentially the same thing for both the volume slider and the power button, where I am slowly removing it, and I'm just going to connect some wires in between the motherboard to the actual volume slider, just so that I can move around and mess with it how I want. And as you can see here, I'm actually using scissors to strip the wires. I actually don't have a proper wire cutter for this. I'm just using scissors. I've also been using the clippers that you can see on the left. I've also been using those as well, but just kind of just whatever gets the job done. And I am also color coding the wires as well for this part, where green is for the charging port, blue is for the volume slider, and then red will be for the power button. And I'm just doing this because I want the power button to be in the same spot as the original DMG power button, or power switch, I guess. And then for the charging port, I'm going to put that into one of the side gaps that's in the shell, and same thing with the volume slider. And off of Amazon, I got this stand that's meant to hold like motherboards and other small components, which really made soldering the cables onto the actual switch itself so much easier. Like, doing it by hand without that was just a real pain, because either the switch would keep on moving around or the wires just wouldn't like connect to it correctly, or like at least strongly, to the point where I wouldn't have to worry about them like being broken. So it was a big help for that. And as I finish soldering on the wires to the volume slider, I'm just putting the battery back in to make sure that I did it correctly and that I could hear the volume get louder and quieter. Because I also soldered a amp mod to it so that it'd make it easier to hear. And as well as, I guess I skipped this part, I also soldered wires from the speaker to the amp. So rather than just having them touch to be connected, there's an actual cable there now. So I could also move that as well to where the original DMG speaker was located. And now I'm just doing the same exact thing to the power switch. So now we'll go over the different parts I've 3D printed so far. I believe there are 6 parts. You'll have the original screen frame that was in the previous video, just a lot more updated. And right now I'll be trying to put it all together. But yeah, so there are 4 screw mounts or holes, 4 screws on this frame that will go into the shell. And as I move the directional board into place right here, it'll go underneath 2 of the points. This is just to help hold the directional board down and to help like connect everything to the shell. And then you could also see 4 more holes onto the sides of the frame, and this is to screw the back piece that I printed that's off to the right into this frame part. So yeah, as you can see right here, I'll be screwing the frame down into the shell, while it's also will be holding down the directional board. Alright, and next I'll be putting in this speaker, I guess also frame. And honestly, I should have probably done this first, now looking back at it. But yeah, this is just to help hold the speaker into place so that it also doesn't shake around while moving it. And then, yeah, of course, put the felt pad in. And then, yeah, as you see here, the speaker is soldered to the amp, which is soldered to the motherboard. And then there's also this back piece. They kind of just push down onto it and slide it into place to keep it in so that it doesn't fall out. And then as we get the screen in right here, see now it fits nicely, I'll be putting the back part, or I guess I'll be screwing the rest of the frame down into the 2 screw posts that I did not cut previously. And honestly, I made all the sizing here, I messed up the sizing for the screws. I made them a bit too small, so it was a bit tough to screw everything into place. And we'll really see that, or I'll really feel that on the next part right here, which is the back piece, which is just to prevent the screen from shaking around. And yeah, right here I'll be screwing it in with the 4 holes, 2 to the left and 2 to the right. So right here, I am really struggling with the screw. And so I actually still have to fix that because I didn't realize that until some of the later parts that I revisioned. And so the next piece right here is like a kind of a mid-frame, I guess, where this piece will screw over the directional board into the shell. There is another screw post, and that will be for the motherboard. There are 2 more screw posts on the back of the screen frame, and that is also for the motherboard to screw into. And of course, the back piece also has 4 more posts sticking up, and this is just to screw the back piece of the shell together. And then the final piece I've created so far is this battery case that will just use one of the 3 motherboard screws to screw into that bottom frame above the directional board. Although I will say I did lose one of them. I dropped it, fell on the floor, and I will never find that thing again.